Taking a look at pages 61 and 62, the big concept that we're trying to get students to understand in this Unit 3, Module 3 part is the difference between tenths and hundredths, and understanding that a tenth equals a strip. So if I go ahead and I draw it right over here, well, let's try again. Let's draw instead. So we have a strip right here, and we've talked to the students a lot about how this strip is equal to 1/10. But we also know that 1/10 can be written as a fraction, and we write it that way. And then we have units, and units are equal to 100th. And we write that like that. And so what we're trying to get students to understand is that when they look at this and they think 8/10, I'm really telling myself that I'm doing 8 strips. And so when it asks which one is larger, initially they might say, well, 73 is larger than 8. But we want them to understand that we're talking about 8 strips, and if they know that a strip is worth 10, one way that they can explain it is that they can actually draw it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so we can say this is actually equal to 8/10. And here it even tells us, let's go ahead and we're going to shade it in. So we have those 8 strips that are represented on this hundreds mat. And what we're really trying to get kids to understand is that it's not 8, it's really 80. 80 hundredths. And then on the other side, we're doing 73 hundredths, so we're going to shade in 7 strips. And then we're going to shade in 3 units. And so our goal is to see that this one on the left is in fact, over here, this is in fact 80, and on the right side this is 73. So in the bottom it asks us to go ahead and write an actual decimal, and so we're going to say 8/10. We could leave it like that, or I could put the 0 on the end to say 80, and then we're going to write 73. Hopefully that'll help students understand that 80 is bigger than 73. Number 2, it says it has to be bigger than 75 but less than 8/10. So we're saying somewhere between, if I were to make a little number line right here, we have 75 hundredths here and we have 8/10 over here. We're needing to pick something between 76, 77, 78, or 79. So maybe over on this side we'll say 76 hundredths, and over here we'll say 78 hundredths. They just need to shade it in, and then we need to prove that 78 hundredths is bigger than 76. The big understanding for number 3 is that this word "and" means it's our decimal point. So as we look at how to write these, we see 2 decimal point because of that word "and", and then we have 83 hundredths. One thing that I talk to students about is if they're struggling with understanding the names of place value, and I were to go ahead and draw out our place value, we have ones right here, tenths, hundredths. Over here we have our tens, and what ends up happening is that we kind of make a rainbow where ones and our decimal point is under the middle of the rainbow, and then tens pairs with tenths, hundreds, even though I didn't draw it, pairs with hundredths, and this rainbow kind of continues in that same fashion. So when it says 1 and 6 hundredths, we're going to go ahead and put our 1 decimal point. We have no tenths, which is where kids are going to get stuck, and then 6 in the hundredths place. Number 4, write this decimal number in words. So we're going to say 2, that decimal point means the word "and", 94, and then we're going to say hundredths because that's where the last digit falls, is in the hundredths place. Number 5, if we look at 8/10, we can remind ourselves that 8/10 is the same as 80 hundredths. So that's going to really help us understand, same thing, 6/10 is the same as 60 hundredths. And here, 6/10 is the same as 60 hundredths, so we understand that they're the same. Number 6, Allison says that 1 and 6 hundredths is bigger than 1 and 2/10 because 6 is bigger than 2. Same thing. Can you tell that we're trying to get this point across? That 2/10 is really 20 hundredths. So now we're comparing 6 and we're comparing 20. Do you agree or disagree? We should say we disagree, and we can explain why. Again, we're looking at that 3/10, really meaning 30 hundredths, because that's 3 strips, and we know each strip has 10 in it, so we see that this is really 30. So who is taller? We want to say Stacy is taller, because 3/10 is equal to 30 hundredths, and 30 hundredths is bigger than 23 hundredths. And number 8, take a look at our challenge. 1 year ago, Charlie's chameleon was 8 42/10 long. Now it's 9 36 inches long. Show your number in words. How much did his chameleon grow? Let's draw that number line out to kind of help us again. 8 42 hundredths. We want to end at 9 36 hundredths. Kids are going to come up with lots of different strategies for adding. They might start by adding 8 hundredths. That's going to get us to 8.5. We're going to come this way and we're going to get to 9 by adding 5/10 or 50 hundredths. And then we know we're going to add that 36 hundredths. So then we just add them all together. 8 hundredths, 50 hundredths, 36 hundredths. And we add them up just like we would add up anything else that we do. So how much did he grow? He grew 94 hundredths inches. How much more does he need to grow to be exactly 10? Could draw another number line. We stopped at 9 36 hundredths. We want to get to 10. And we're going to go ahead and add on there as well. Students might start by adding 4 hundredths. That's going to get us to 9 4/10. And then they're going to say, oh, we're going to add 6/10 or 60 hundredths. So we can see that it's 64 hundredths inches.